Okay, people, I got more stories in my A Long Night of Halloween. Not Halloween, in my A Long Halloween Night storyline. Some are like the first one, multiple parts with different stories, like, analog series. And then there are, I believe, two specials, which are just one story. And then the last one is going over is basically a tie-in, basically like a not tie-in, but like a thing that brings it all together, basically, kinda. Anyways, here's issue number 2.
A Long Halloween Number 2, The Curse of Ashmore. The town of Ashmore had many stories. Some whispered about the old church in the woods, others spoke of lights in the forest or strange creatures beneath the streets. Most people believed they were just stories. They were wrong. Part 1, The Sewer King. Halloween night, 1994. Rain poured over the city of Ashmore. Streetlights flickered through the storm. A news van sat beside a rusted sewer entrance. A young reporter adjusted her microphone. Dana Whitmore, local investigative journalist. Beside her stood her cameraman, Tom Alvarez, holding a heavy VHS news camera. Dana looked into the lens. Dana Whitmore reporting live in Ashmore. Over the past 3 months, more than 20 homeless individuals have gone missing. She pointed toward the sewer tunnel behind her. City officials claim there's no connection, but witnesses report strange noises coming from the sewer system beneath downtown. Tom lowered the camera. You really want to go down there? Dana smirked. Ratings, Tom? Minutes later, they climbed down a rusted ladder. The sewer smelled like rot. Water dripped endlessly from cracked pipes. Dana turned on her flashlight. All right, she said quietly. Let's find out what's really down here. They walked deeper. Something skittered across the darkness. Tom stopped. Did you hear that? Before Dana could answer, crunch, Tom screamed. The camera dropped. His body vanished into the darkness. Dana spun around. Tom? The flashlight flickered, then died. The sewer plunged into darkness. Dana's breathing became frantic. Tom? No answer, only the sound of chewing. Shaking, she picked up the dropped camera. The night vision activated. Green static filled the screen. Dana slowly lifted it. Through the lens, something moved in the sewer tunnel. A massive shape. Then it stepped into the night vision. A giant rat creature, 7 feet tall. Its body bloated and hairless, teeth jagged and yellow. Its eyes glowed like diseased lanterns. Dana whispered in horror, "Oh my God." The creature smiled and charged. Part 2, No One Can Hear You Scream. Halloween night, 2019. Commander Ashley McLean floated inside a spacecraft. Through the window, she could see a distant planet. Her daughter had begged her to stay home for Halloween, but astronauts didn't get holidays. Mission control, Ashley said, landing sequence ready. Her crew prepared the descent. They landed on a cold, barren planet. Rocks, ice, nothing else, or so they thought. Unseen beneath the surface, something watched them. An alien organism. The Zytherion. Ancient, patient. When the astronauts returned to the ship, something else came with them. Hours later, crew member Daniel Reyes walked into the control room. But something was wrong. His skin moved strangely. Ashley frowned. Daniel, you okay? He smiled. Then his face split open. Bone twisted, flesh stretched into a nightmare of teeth and tendrils. The Zytherion revealed itself. The creature lunged. Chaos erupted. The monster could imitate people perfectly. Crewmates turned against each other in confusion. One by one, they died. Ashley realized the truth too late. It's copying us. The creature transformed again. Limbs multiplying, skin splitting like melting wax. A fusion of nightmare biology. Ashley sprinted to the cryo bay. If she couldn't kill it, she could freeze it. The monster lunged as she activated the freezing chamber. Ice spread across its body. The creature screamed. Ashley dragged the frozen horror to the airlock. She stared at it one last time. Happy Halloween. She opened the airlock. The frozen monster flew into space, vanishing forever. Ashley returned to Earth days later. But the government quickly covered up the entire incident. Official report, mission successful. No life discovered. Ashley never told her daughter what she saw. Nasha Part 3, The Final Save, Halloween Night, 2020. Because of COVID, Mark Jensen stayed inside. Candy sat untouched beside the door. Instead, he played his favorite horror game, Last Light in Ashmore. The game's setting was a ruined version of the real town. Fog filled the streets, buildings were abandoned, hospitals rotted, churches stood empty. The game described two worlds: the normal world, foggy streets, broken buildings, notes left behind by vanished residents, and the rot world. Sometimes the town changed suddenly. Walls rusted, metal grates replaced floors, the sky turned blood red, buildings turned organic, doors opened into flesh-lined corridors. Mark loved the monsters. They weren't zombies. They were nightmares made real. The Weepers, humanoid creatures crying black tears. They moved slowly, but their screams attracted other monsters. The split-jaw, tall, its face split vertically into two halves, rows of teeth inside the opening. It hunted by sound. The crawling nurse, a broken hospital nurse crawling along walls and ceilings, her neck twisted violently when she detected movement. And the most terrifying, the Red Watcher, a tall silhouette standing in the distance. It never attacked, but the closer it got, the more the world turned into the rot world. Mark laughed. Best horror game ever. Then the power flickered. The screen glitched. The game froze. Then the screen went black. When Mark looked up, he wasn't in his house anymore. He was standing in the foggy streets of Ashmore. The Red Watcher stood far away, watching. The game had just become real. Part 4, Choose Your Ending, Halloween Night, 2022. Teenager Ryan Calder stared at his closet. Tonight was his first real date. He had 3 choices, 3 shirts, and 3 different futures. Path 1, The Path of the Empty Heart. Ryan wore a simple red t-shirt. He waited at the restaurant and waited and waited. His date never showed up. He walked home alone, heartbroken. Sometimes the worst fate is simply being forgotten. Path 2, The Gentleman's End. Ryan wore a tuxedo. The date went perfectly. Dinner, laughter, everything felt right. When it ended, she smiled. My ride's here. She drove away. Ryan walked home alone. Halfway there, a figure in a black hood stepped from the shadows. A knife flashed. Ryan collapsed. The killer searched his pockets. Thought you were rich. The police later ruled it a botched robbery. Path 3, The Path of True Love. Ryan wore what he liked, just himself. The date went amazingly. They returned to her house. The night became intimate. The next morning, Ryan looked around her room. He saw posters, hundreds of them, all of him. At first he smiled. He was a young actor after all, but there were too many, and some were obsessive. Then, darkness. Ryan woke tied to a chair in a basement. The girl smiled lovingly. You'll never leave me, my love. Every path ended the same, doom. Part 5, A Rat in the Maze. Back to Halloween night, 1994, Dana ran through the sewer tunnels. Behind her, the giant rat creature roared. She tripped and fell into a pit of black liquid. It smelled like rot. She climbed out, gagging. Further down the tunnel, she saw them. The missing homeless people, dozens of them, kneeling, chanting, Hail Vermix, Hail Vermix. At the center stood the rat monster. Its name, Vermix, the sewer king. Dana ran, climbed the ladder, and escaped into the night. Now Part 5, Epilogue, Hail Vermix. 2 weeks later, Dana Whitmore sat in the news studio. Good evening, Ashmore. Her co-host smiled beside her. Dana, glad you're feeling better after that sewer scare. Dana smiled, but something moved beneath her skin. Black veins pulsed under her neck. Her teeth sharpened. Her body began to change. Fur burst from her arms. Her jaw elongated. Her co-host screamed. Dana lunged. Blood sprayed across the camera. She turned toward the audience, eyes glowing yellow, and whispered, Hail Vermix. End of issue 2. Next issue.
Now here's number 3. After this will be our first special, which is only 1 story.
A Long Halloween number 3. The curse deepens in Ashmore.
Oh yeah, also, the specials do not have a number. They're not titled number 4, number 5, like that, no. They just, the title, A Long Halloween Night, and then the name of the story.
Ashmore was never meant to exist, not as it was. Every generation the town birthed another nightmare. Some came from beneath the earth, some came from the stars, and some came from the past refusing to die. Part 1, The Red Watcher Walks, Halloween Night, 2020. Mark Jensen ran through the foggy streets. He He was no longer in his living room. He was inside Last Light in Ashmore. The video game had become real. His breath fogged in the cold air. Broken streetlights flickered. Rust covered every surface. A note lay on the ground beside an abandoned car. Mark picked it up. "If you see the tall one, don't let it get closer." He looked up. Down the long street, the Red Watcher stood, tall, motionless, a distant silhouette against the fog. Mark whispered nervously, "Okay, not good." He turned and ran into a hospital. Inside, the world seemed normal at first. But then, a sound, soft crying. The weepers, humanoid figures hunched in corners, black tears streaming down their faces. Mark slowly backed away. One of them looked up, then screamed. The sound echoed through the building. Doors slammed open, creatures began moving. Mark sprinted down the hallway. He turned a corner and slammed into something tall. The Splitjaw, its face split open vertically, rows of teeth grinding together, it shrieked. Mark ran again, upstairs, down corridors, everywhere he turned, monsters. And then, the lights flickered. The hospital walls began to rot. Metal replaced the floor. The ceiling became fleshy and pulsing. The rot world had arrived. Mark looked out a shattered window. The Red Watcher now stood at the hospital entrance. Closer, much closer. He ran to the roof. There was nowhere else to go. The Red Watcher slowly climbed the stairwell. Each step it took, the world rotted further. Mark screamed, "Stay away!" The creature reached the rooftop. Up close, it looked like a tall human shape made of rusted metal and dried flesh. Its head tilted, studying him. Then it touched Mark's chest. Mark felt his body change. His skin hardened. Rust spread across his arms, his bones twisted into metal shapes. Mark tried to scream, but his mouth filled with iron. Within seconds, he became part of the rot world, just another rusted statue in the nightmare city. The Red Watcher turned and walked deeper into Ashmore. Part 2, Resident Hill. Year 1700, a group of settlers climbed a dark hill outside the early settlement that would one day become Ashmore. The locals called it Resident Hill. A preacher walked at the front of the group. "We must cleanse this place of evil." The wind howled through the trees, branches creaked, then, thud, one of the men fell, an axe buried deep in his skull. The group screamed. From the woods stepped a tall figure. He wore a goat skull over his face. Blood dripped from the horns. The figure lifted his axe. The preacher gasped, "Byrock!" The goat man charged. One by one, the settlers were slaughtered. The hill became soaked in blood, and the goat man vanished back into the woods. Part 3, 1995. A group of teenagers laughed around a campfire in the woods near Ashmore.
This is Return
Jason, his
of the
girlfriend
Goat Man.
Emily, and their friend Tyler told ghost stories. Emily rolled her eyes. "You guys really believe in that goat man crap?" Then a scream echoed from the woods. One of their friends stumbled into the clearing. Before an axe split his back open, the goat man stepped into the firelight. The same skull mask, the same axe. Jason grabbed Emily's hand. "Run!" They fled through the woods. Tyler followed. They hid inside an abandoned ranger cabin. Inside they found an ancient book. The cover read, "The Book of Malzareth." Tyler flipped through the pages. His face went pale. "This says, the goat man was a man named Byrock." Emily whispered. "Who's that?" Tyler continued reading. "He was once a host of the demon Malzareth, just like Father Solomon Vira." Jason remembered the town legends, the cult, the church. Tyler found another page. "It says he became undead after the demon left him, cursed to kill forever." Jason looked outside. The goat man slowly approached the cabin. Tyler read faster. "There's only one way to stop him." Jason grabbed the book. "How?" Tyler pointed to an illustration, a glowing dagger. The dagger of severance. It destroys demon hosts. The cabin door exploded inward. The goat man rushed inside. Tyler charged with the dagger, but the axe split him open. Emily screamed as the goat man grabbed her. Jason lunged forward. He drove the dagger into Byrock's chest. The goat man froze. The skull mask cracked. For the first time in centuries, Byrock's real face appeared beneath the mask. Rotting, relieved. Then his body collapsed into dust. Jason dropped to his knees. The woods fell silent. The goat man was finally dead, or so everyone hoped. Part 4, The Torture of God. Far future humanity discovered a new form of paradise, a virtual world called eternity. The creator promised, it will feel like heaven. Millions uploaded their minds. The first moments were beautiful. Golden fields, blue skies, peace. Then the world began to change. People relived their worst memories. Every regret, every mistake, every trauma. A father relived the day he lost his child, over and over. A soldier relived every person he killed, endlessly. The paradise was actually a prison. The Creator finally revealed the truth. This is not heaven. This is purification. Even God must suffer. And no one could log out. No Face, 1983, young Lily Carter walked through her school hallway. Everyone looked normal to everyone else, but to Lily, every person's face was missing. Smooth flesh, no eyes, no mouths, just blank skin. Her teacher spoke to her, but Lily only heard muffled noise. Her parents hugged her, but she saw only faceless figures. Doctors said it was psychological trauma, but Lily knew the truth. One night, she looked into the mirror and screamed. Her face was gone too. Part 5, Epilogue, Solomon. Back to the 1600s. Deep in the woods, something walked. The corpse of Father Solomon Vira. His skin rotted, bones visible beneath decaying flesh, yet he still moved, still breathed, still lived. Malzareth had left his body long ago, but the curse remained. Solomon stumbled through the trees until he reached the abandoned church, the place where it all began. He looked up at the broken doors and whispered with a rotting voice, "Forgive me," then he stepped inside. The church doors slowly closed behind him, and something deep beneath the floor moved.
And now we get our first special. And then we go on to number 4, and I think we have another special after this. Who knows?
A long Halloween night special. Future you, future me. 1976, Ashmore. It was Halloween night in Ashmore. The streets smelled of wet leaves and burnt sugar from caramel apples. The air carried that mix of promise and dread that only October could hold. Cassidy Vane, 16, leaned against the corner of a lamppost, leather jacket zipped to her chin, hair wild, a cigarette dangling between her fingers. She was the kind of teen who dared the night to do something. Anything to scare her, but mostly she scared herself. A flicker of light caught her eye across the street, a shimmer in the fog. She squinted. A woman appeared from the haze, stepping like she belonged in every shadow at once. Cassidy smirked. Great, Halloween hippie, gonna tell me my fortune or hex me? The woman stopped, her back straight, her eyes too knowing, her posture unnervingly precise. But Cassidy froze. There was something in her face, the lines, the set of her jaw. It wasn't just age, it was her, older, uglier, twisted by time and life. Cassidy, the woman said, her voice rough, harsh, like gravel rolling down metal pipes. Cassidy Vane, that's you. Cassidy blinked. Yeah, and you are. I'm you, the woman said bluntly. The future. Don't get excited. I'm not the one you were hoping to meet. Cassidy laughed, nervous at first, then bitter. Oh, this is a joke. Halloween prank? Who the hell sent you? Tyler? He's into this kind of weird shit. The future Cassidy didn't laugh. She stepped closer.
850.
Her hair was stringy and gray, skin sagging, yellowed teeth flashing in a grimace. Her jacket, once cool, hung off her like a rag. She smelled faintly of smoke and bitter coffee, something long decayed into herself. You think this is a prank? The older Cassidy said. Her eyes bored into Cassidy's skull. You think life just lets you have fun, have freedom, have coolness? No, it chews you up, and I'm the proof. Cassidy's chest tightened. Wait, what? I future me? You look like hell. That's generous, the older Cassidy snapped. You have no idea. You think leather jackets and skateboards make you badass? They're temporary. One day you'll be me. Bitter, old, cranky, smelling like mothballs and regret. Cassidy took a step back. No way, I'm too awesome for that. I'll do something epic. You're lying. The older Cassidy shook her head. I wish I were. I tried to warn myself too once. You don't listen. You never listen. She crouched slightly, voice dropping to a whisper. I've got arthritis, bad knees, all your favorite people are gone or awful, and you're going to hate me eventually, hate yourself even more, and every stupid thrill, every reckless ride, you'll pay for it. Cassidy's hands trembled slightly. But I'm still alive. I can fix it, right? You can't fix me, older Cassidy said flatly. She kicked a puddle, and black water splashed onto her shoes. You can try to make your life better, but the person staring back at you when you're old, that's me. I'm what you'll become if you don't learn, if you don't respect what's coming. And right now, I'm here to make sure you see it. Cassidy's bravado faltered. The streets felt suddenly narrower. Fog closed in. She swallowed hard. So what now? The older Cassidy smirked, but it was bitter, almost painful. Now? You either listen or you don't, but you'll remember this night. I promise you that. And someday, you'll look back at me and realize every dumb decision, every thrill, every burned bridge, it all leads
Your
here.
light works now.
To me. A gust of wind rattled the street
I
lamps.
left it on so
Cassidy
they can
shivered,
see back
suddenly
there.
seeing herself as a shadow of what she thought she'd be.
But that just means
So
we're
you're
gonna
telling me
get
I
new fucking
get old and gross and miserable? She
light
asked,
bulbs
voice barely a
soon.
whisper. Exactly. Welcome to your Halloween future, older Cassidy said. She flicked her cigarette into the puddle. The sparks hissed. But hey, it's not all bad. You'll survive. Barely. Just don't get cocky, kid. Enjoy the night while
Yeah,
it
don't
lasts.
get cocky, kid.
And then, as quickly as she appeared, the older Cassidy stepped back into the fog. The mist swallowed her whole, leaving Cassidy alone on the empty street. The teen exhaled, shook her head, smiled nervously. Well, that's creepy as hell. But deep down, Cassidy knew one thing. Halloween would never feel the same again. And somewhere, across the folds of time, the old Cassidy waited, grinning grimly, wishing she could warn herself one more time. If you want, I can write part 2, where young Cassidy starts noticing small, horrifying signs of her future self creeping into her Halloween night, and it gets progressively darker and more surreal. Do you want me to continue?
And while we watch, let's make
Can
sure
you
that
put
we
your lid on
appreciate
carefully,
those
Mom?
fabulous marketing skills.
You can crack 'em this way. You can crack 'em that way.
Way.
And we've all done this. But no matter
Yes, we have.
you always
Now, we move on to number 4.
A Long Halloween Night. Part 1, The Mothman Returns. 1995. A Long Halloween Night. Part 1, The Mothman Returns. 1995. Halloween night fell over Ashmore like a dark velvet cloak, and the town carried the uneasy memory of stories whispered by old-timers. Tales of missing children, glowing red eyes, and wings that brushed the sky silently. Tyler Green, 17, and his friends had dared each other to walk past the abandoned church on the outskirts of town. Its windows were boarded, its walls weathered with decades of neglect. Local kids whispered that the Mothman still lurked, a harbinger of death, wings folded like a predator waiting. The night air was thick with fog. A distant screech echoed over the empty streets. Come on, Tyler urged, flashlight shaking in his hand. It's just a stupid bird legend. But the shadows moved differently here. They twisted unnaturally. Then a light appeared, a red glow that hovered in the mist like fireflies gone wrong. The Mothman had returned. Before the group could react, a shadow unfolded across the treetops. It was enormous. Its wings spanned more than a car, feathers black as oil. The eyes glowed crimson. Screams erupted. Tyler's friends scattered, tripping over roots and gravestones. The creature struck silently but deadly, snap.
That was a cool product.
The fuck you mean something went wrong?
I'm trying to remember.
struggle and strain to see a type
A Long Halloween Night, number 4. Part 1, The Mothman Returns. 1995, Halloween night fell over Ashmore like a dark velvet cloak, and the town carried the uneasy memory of stories whispered by old-timers. Tales of missing children, glowing red eyes, and wings that brushed the sky silently. Tyler Green, 17, and his friends had dared each other to walk past the abandoned church on the outskirts of town. Its windows were boarded, its walls weathered with decades of neglect. Local kids whispered that the Mothman still lurked, a harbinger of death, wings folded like a predator waiting. The night air was thick with fog. A distant screech echoed over the empty streets. Come on, Tyler urged, flashlight shaking in his hand. It's just a stupid bird legend. But the shadows moved differently here. They twisted unnaturally. Then a light appeared, a red glow that hovered in the mist like fireflies gone wrong. The Mothman had returned. Before the group could react, a shadow unfolded across the treetops. It was enormous. Its wings spanned more than a car, feathers black as oil. The eyes glowed crimson. Screams erupted. Tyler's friends scattered, tripping over roots and gravestones. The creature struck silently but deadly.
Hey, Chef Ralph Pagano here. I've been in Hell's Kitchen, and now I want to be in your kitchen. I'm going to show how...
Chop up like ground sausage or whatever, or, ground beef, whatever I'm using to make
A Long Halloween Night, Part 1. The Mothman Returns. 1995, Halloween night fell over Ashmore like a dark velvet cloak, and the town carried the uneasy memory of stories whispered by old-timers. Tales of missing children, glowing red eyes, and wings that brushed the sky silently. Tyler Green, 17, and his friends had dared each other to walk past the abandoned church on the outskirts of town. Its windows were boarded, its walls weathered with decades of neglect. Local kids whispered that the Mothman still lurked, a harbinger of death, wings folded like a predator waiting. The night air was thick with fog. A distant screech echoed over the empty streets. "Come on," Tyler urged, flashlight shaking in his hand. "It's just a stupid bird legend." But the shadows moved differently here. They twisted unnaturally. Then a light appeared, a red glow that hovered in the mist like fireflies gone wrong. The Mothman had returned. Before the group could react, a shadow unfolded across the treetops. It was enormous. Its wings spanned more than a car, feathers black as oil. The eyes glowed crimson. Screams erupted. Tyler's friends scattered, tripping over roots and gravestones. The creature struck silently but deadly, snatching a boy and pulling him into the fog. Tyler ran, heart pounding, as branches tore at his jacket and the red glow followed him. The Mothman's beak-like mouth opened, revealing rows of jagged teeth. Another friend disappeared in a flash of wings. Tyler stumbled into the abandoned church, hoping for shelter, but the darkness was no refuge. Every step echoed into a silence that swallowed hope. Outside, the Mothman hovered, patient, waiting. Its eyes scanned the fog, its wings beat with a whispering menace, and the screams of the town's children filled the night. Part 2, The Dead War, World War II Europe, 1944. U.S. soldiers slogged through the muddy fields of a small village on the Western Front. Bullets ripped through the air, artillery shook the ground, but something far worse awaited. The Germans had unleashed the dead. Corpses moved like marionettes, eyes empty, mouths gaping in silent rage. The soldiers fought, rifles chattering, grenades rolling. But the horde never ended. Private Jameson ducked behind a crumbling wall as skeletal hands clawed through the mud, dragging fellow soldiers into the earth. "Keep moving," shouted Sergeant Harlow. But even he couldn't keep morale intact as the undead pressed in. Suddenly, the village square erupted. Nazi officers turned into twisted forms, faces melting, eyes replaced by burning coals. Zombies with swastikas crawling across their chest advanced relentlessly. Explosions lit the night. The smell of gunpowder and rot hung heavy. Some soldiers made it to the church bell tower for cover. Others didn't. They fired relentlessly, but each fallen enemy seemed to rise again. Jameson screamed as a skeletal hand grabbed his ankle. The war was no longer about victory, it was about surviving the night. Part 3, The School of the Dead, 2001 Ashmore Elementary, 10:17 a.m. Halloween. Children chattered about costumes, while teachers nervously glanced at the hallways. A sudden hiss filled the air. A fine green gas crept along the floor, seeping under doors. Panic erupted as students and teachers realized the gas was no ordinary prank. Emily Torres, 15, grabbed her best friend, running toward the exit. Hallways twisted, the fluorescent lights flickered violently, and screams echoed like ghosts. Some students collapsed instantly. Others became disoriented, hallucinating, crawling toward walls, reaching for invisible things. The gas wasn't just physical, it clawed at the mind, dredging up fear, regret, trauma. Emily's lungs burned as she stumbled through the chaos. She saw a teacher convulsing, a student whispering in a voice that wasn't theirs, and the walls pulsing like something alive. Somewhere, the source of the gas hissed. A small canister glowing faintly green in the principal's office. She grabbed it, but the pressure behind her, students screaming, teachers writhing, was overwhelming. She passed out near the gymnasium. Part 4, Epilogue. Hospital lights flickered softly. Emily Torres opened her eyes. The room smelled of antiseptic and the faint scent of burnt electronics. Monitors beeped steadily. Her parents sat nearby, pale and anxious. A nurse hovered in the doorway. Emily touched her head, trembling. The memories of the school, the gas, the screaming, the walls that seemed alive, felt like a half-remembered nightmare. She whispered to herself, barely audible, I survived. Outside, the town of Ashmore was quiet again, but somewhere in the shadows, threads of those nights, Mothman, undead soldiers, haunted schools waited. Halloween always came, and Ashmore always remembered. If you want, I can continue with part 5.
Now, the last special for Volume 1.
Frother is not that hard. I literally showed on this channel making a drink with a milk frother. Like, it's not hard. I don't know why we need this.
A long Halloween night, the vampire hunt, year 1600. The forest did not like the night. It breathed too heavily. Branches scraped together like bones grinding beneath thin skin, and the wind carried a smell that made horses refuse to move. Old blood and older things. The village of Grant Hollow had learned not to travel after sunset. Not since the disappearances began. The first body. They found the baker's son hanging upside down from an oak tree, not by rope, by his ankles. His throat had been opened with surgical precision, the blood drained so cleanly that the ground beneath him remained almost dry. Father Matthias crossed himself 3 times when he saw it. Witchcraft, one villager whispered. Another shook his head. No witch did that. The blacksmith pointed to the boy's neck. 2 punctures. Perfect. Deliberate. Vampire. The word spread through the crowd like wildfire. The hunter arrives. 3 days later, a rider entered the village. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Clad in dark leather and a long travel coat stitched with protective symbols. A heavy crossbow rested across his back. At his belt hung wooden stakes, silver knives, vials of holy water, a worn leather book filled with monster lore. His name was Gregor Vance, and he hunted monsters. The tavern went silent when he entered. Gregor removed his hat slowly. I heard your village has a vampire problem. The mayor stared at him. And you are? Gregor placed a silver coin on the table. A solution. Gregor inspected the body. He ran gloved fingers across the wounds, too clean, too precise. This wasn't a feral vampire. This was an old one. Smart, patient, dangerous. He knelt beside the oak tree and studied the soil. No footprints. Of course not. It likely approached from above. He looked up, branches thick enough to hide something watching. Where is your church? Gregor asked. The old church. The villagers led him to a stone church on the edge of the woods. Its bells hadn't rung in months. The priest refused to enter after sunset. Gregor walked inside alone. Dust covered everything. The altar was cracked. Candles melted long ago, but there were signs, scratch marks on the stone floor, black stains. Something had been feeding here. He whispered quietly, "You're nesting in a church. Bold or blasphemous, perhaps both." The night hunt. Gregor prepared as darkness fell. He placed garlic along the church windows. He loaded his crossbow with a silver bolt. He carved protective runes into the doorframe. Then he waited. Hours passed. Wind moaned through the trees, owls cried, and somewhere in the woods, something laughed. Low, hungry. Gregor tightened his grip on the crossbow. "Come out," he muttered. The vampire appears. The church doors creaked open slowly. Not pushed, pulled. A figure stepped inside. Tall, pale, beautiful in a way that made the air feel wrong. Long black hair, eyes like polished obsidian, and fangs that glimmered faintly in the moonlight. She smiled. Well, a hunter. Her voice was smooth like velvet dragged across a blade. Gregor raised his crossbow. Name, she bowed slightly. Lady Seraphine Valkyrie. The name meant something. Gregor's blood ran cold. He had read about her. A vampire older than most kingdoms. I thought you were dead. Gregor said. Seraphine laughed softly. Oh, Hunter, that rumor has followed me for centuries. The fight. Gregor fired. The bolt streaked across the church. Seraphine caught it. With 2 fingers, she snapped it in half. Silver? She teased. How quaint. Faster than thought. Gregor barely raised his arm before she slammed him against the altar. Stone cracked beneath the impact. Her fangs hovered inches from his throat. I have killed kings, she whispered. Do you really believe you can kill me? Gregor grinned through blood. Yes. He smashed a vial of holy water against her face. Seraphine screamed. The liquid burned her skin like acid. She recoiled. Gregor grabbed a wooden stake and lunged. She vanished. The church windows exploded as she escaped into the night. Gregor staggered outside, too fast, too powerful. This wasn't over. Not even close. The warning. The villagers gathered as Gregor emerged from the woods. You killed it? Someone asked. Gregor shook his head. No. The crowd murmured nervously. He looked toward the dark forest. She's ancient. She's patient. And now she knows I'm here. The mayor swallowed. What do we do? Gregor began sharpening another stake. We pray she gets bored. The wind shifted suddenly, carrying a distant laugh through the trees. Seraphine's voice drifted across the night. Hunter, run while you can. Gregor stared into the darkness and smiled. No, the hunt had only begun. To be continued. The vampire hunt continues in the next Long Halloween Night story.
No, it does not. Anyways, here, the timeline order that all of the stories take place in event number 5.
Here is your corrected official timeline for a Long Halloween Night based on the years you gave, organized clearly from earliest to latest. A Long Halloween Night, complete timeline, 1600. The beginning of the curse surrounding Ashmore and the demon Malzareth. 1. The Vampire Hunt. Monster hunter Gregor Vance arrives to hunt the ancient vampire Lady Seraphine. 2. The Summoning of the Hollow God. Father Solomon Vire convinces his cult to summon the demon Malzareth. 3. Children of the Hollow God. The ritual begins and a demonic hand bursts through the church floor. 4. The Devil Within Me. Malzareth possesses Solomon as police gun down the cult during the church shootout. 5. Epilogue. Solomon. Malzareth leaves Solomon's body, but Solomon survives as a rotting corpse. 6. Epilogue. Solomon returns. The undead Solomon walks back to the church in the woods. Chadhash 1707. Resident Hill. A group of settlers climbing the hill are slaughtered by the axe-wielding killer Byrock, the Goat Man. 1880. 8. The Mothman's Light. A boy follows a mysterious light into the woods and is eaten by the Mothman near the abandoned church. 1944. 9. The Dead War. During World War II, U.S. soldiers fight Nazi zombies created through dark experiments. 1976. 10. Future You, Future Me. A rebellious teen girl meets her unpleasant older self from the future on Halloween night. 1983. 11. No Face. A girl sees everyone as if their faces are missing skin. 1994. The Rise of the Vermix Sewer Horror. 12. The Sewer King. A reporter investigates missing homeless people in the sewers of Ashmore. 13. A Rat in the Maze. She escapes the rat creature Vermix, but is infected by black liquid. 14. Epilogue. Heil Vermix. Weeks later, the reporter transforms into a rat creature and kills her co-host. 1995. A year of supernatural violence around Ashmore. 15. 1,000 Last Moments. A grieving girl repeatedly sees her family commit suicide and ends up in a mental hospital. 16. The Goat Man returns. Byrock returns and attacks campers until he is killed with the magical dagger. 17. The Mothman returns. The Mothman appears again and kills more people around the town. Hana 2001. 18. The School of the Dead. A gas attack causes horror and hallucinations inside a school. 19. Epilogue. Hospital Survivor. One of the students survives and wakes up in the hospital. 2019. 21 Can Hear You Scream. Astronaut Ashley McLean fights the alien shapeshifter species Zytherion in space. 2020. 21 The Final Save. A gamer becomes trapped inside the horror game Last Light in Ashmore. 22 The Red Watcher walks. The Red Watcher hunts him and he becomes part of the Rot World. Namahanaf 2022. 23 Choose Your Ending. A teen's Halloween date leads to 3 deadly possible outcomes. 2023. 24 The Torture of God. A virtual reality paradise traps people in endless psychological torment. Total stories so far, 24. If you want, I can also make a list of every monster villain in the Ashmore universe. A full Ashmore mythology timeline explaining Malzareth's influence. Ideas for a Long Halloween Night number 5. There are some cool ways to connect all the monsters together.
And or click the link down below. Not only that, it's just making a mess in his yard. I'm gonna make sure I clean it up. But to gift him a little something, I'm gonna get
Here we go.
the top double five for favorite spot.
With the last
And I have one question to ask him at the end of the
story
series.
here.
That is, will he sell me his property? I really am curious to see what he's gonna say to that. But
A Long Halloween Night number 5. Ashmore Files. Ashmore looked normal if you drove through it. A small town, a museum, old churches, foggy woods, but Detective Daniel Mercer knew better. He had spent the last 3 months buried in files inside the Ashmore Historical
Hang on, I
Museum,
gotta change
a
his
place that held
name.
1,000 likes. 40 awesome
This updates on some stuff about the stories, this one does.
Can you guys please do that?
A long Halloween night number 5, The Ashmore Files. Ashmore looked peaceful in the fall. Orange leaves drifted across quiet streets. Storefronts displayed pumpkins and paper ghosts. Kids laughed somewhere down the block. Detective Elias Rourke knew better. Ashmore wasn't peaceful. It was quiet. And quiet towns kept the worst secrets. The investigation. Rourke sat in the dim records room of the Ashmore Historical Museum. Old documents covered the table in front of him. Yellowed pages, photographs, police reports, all connected to one thing, Ashmore.